Our upcoming spokesperson is a senior solutions consultant based at PagerDuty, responsible for providing technical guidance to customers across Asia Pacific, Japan, and India. He has worked in consulting for more than 10 years and loves working one on one with customers to solve their challenging problems. He joins us today to share his deep thoughts on how the most innovative global companies modernize their operations and reduce manual processes by centralizing, simplifying, and automating their incident response process to resolve issues in seconds. Without much further ado, please help me welcome Mr. Kiyo Otsuka.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for attending the DevOps India Summit 2021, and thank you for taking interest in our session today, Reduce Noise and Automate Incident Response. My name is Kiyo Otsuka, and I am a PagerDuty Senior Solutions Consultant and will be hosting this session today. In this session, I'm hoping to shed some light on a few things. Firstly, what issues we see today in a DevOps world around incident management and real-time operations. And second, how PagerDuty provides value in this area. And I'll finish up with a technical demonstration of our platform. So without further ado, let's move on. You may all agree that we are into a second decade of a digital transformation journey with over $1.3 trillion spent on digital initiatives last year alone. To date, most of this investment has centered in digital management being more automated and improve the customer experience and drive efficiencies. Platforms like Salesforce, SAP, Workday, and ServiceNow have modernized queued workflows like the flow on the left side of the slide. Workflow that is sequential in nature and driven by the likes of a ticket, a case, an opportunity record, or other objects. Queued workflow is a stop and go process, and when getting from A to B isn't really critical because it's not really business impacting. This stop and go process is acceptable and sometimes preferred in some examples. Like it could be a lead flow through a sales process, claims processing and insurance, procurement and distribution processes. All of these are appropriate for queued workflows. But where PagerDuty got started 12 years ago, we started by solving a different problem, automating human response to mission critical urgent work represented on the right side of the slide. The type of work that isn't conductive to queued workflow because it's very, very business critical because your business is at risk. On day one, PagerDuty automated incident response to visual disruptions by identifying which technical services has been impacted. And today, the platform has matured to incorporate the element of prevention, enabling businesses to prevent disruptions that impair customer experiences. So we know that the world of DevOps in a digital environment is very, very complex. And this visual is a great example of showing how complex it is. This is just one look at a contemporary digital service. This is an example of Netflix specifically, and this is their service dependency map. It's made up of thousands of microservices, all interconnected and interdependent. And behind each of these services are people such as yourselves, distributed and changing teams tasked to keep these complex services running. And when any of these services are impacted, we see three typical pain points, and these are the risks: efficiency gains, innovation velocity, and team sentiment. And this is where PagerDuty addresses the pain points for customers today. But before I talk about our capabilities and how we approach these pain points, I wanted to touch on what we see in the world of digital operations in the last couple of years. One of PagerDuty's greatest strength is that we have over 10 years of real-time operation trends and data across our 16,000 company customer base, more than 700,000 users who use our platform today. And more than 60% of these customers are Fortune 500s. And here are some of the data we see over the last couple of years. We're seeing that incidents and noise show no sign of slowing down. There was 19% growth in critical incidents year over year over the last couple of years. With today's business relying on hundreds and thousands of complex digital services to deliver these critical customer experiences, those services need to stay always on 100%. But complex systems will break. And when they do, organizations need to be scalable, sustainable approach to managing real-time incident response that won't burn out your employees as well at the same time. And also, this can be really costly for the organization as well. We looked across all incidents over the platform and saw that on average, incidents take about 1 or 2 responders to resolve and takes about 126 minutes. So that's just over 2 hours to resolve as well. And if we look at like $50 USD per hour per responder, the cost is around about $126 USD per incident. And that is actually a significant cost to the business as well. Now, when we focus on operational health as well, we're seeing that customers are able to see a 98% noise reduction overall using PagerDuty. And that's a clear improvement into how operational health has matured. But also at the same time, we see a clear improvement in the mean time to acknowledge and the mean time to resolve all these incidents as well. And this shows that investing in and actively managing operational practices go really, really hand in hand in terms of the business initiatives as well. But perhaps most importantly, we saw that over a third of the users who worked over the last couple of years are working on a less consistent schedule. And we saw that equivalent to about 2 extra hours per day was spent on working around incidents. And this is actually quite significant when you think about it, because if you calculate it over the course of a year, it's equivalent to about 12 extra weeks of work. And humans ultimately sit in the center of every incident response and need help balancing the volume of work of incidents against what you do every day. Because ultimately, if we don't manage this, it will result in burnout and attrition. So how does PagerDuty provide value in this area? This picture shows the overview of where we typically sit in a customer technical stack around the real-time response and incident management. On the left side, we see typical components in a customer environment, whether it be a microservice, server, a security component, or a cloud environment. And these are typically monitored by a monitoring tool, whether it be an AWS CloudWatch, Datadog, Dynatrace. There's a lot of tools out there today. But what we see on average is about 3 or 4 tools being adopted and used to monitor an environment. But what we see when issues happen is a lot of these tools emit alerts, and all of these alerts are currently being pushed directly to the responders in the form of email, mainly. And typically what we see is a lot of these alerts are actually considered noise, and not necessarily all of them are actionable incidents. So this is where PagerDuty comes in. PagerDuty is able to integrate with your current monitoring tools very easily. And by ingesting all of the events or alerts into PagerDuty, we're able to identify and filter out all of the noise that are happening within your environment in terms of alerts. At the same time, we're able to consolidate related alerts into single incidents for you. So you don't have bombardment or noise in terms of notifications as well. So by the time the responder receives a notification, PagerDuty is able to provide you with a lot of context in terms of A, if they're actionable incidents, B, what sort of alerts are consolidated into the incident, and thirdly, which specific technical service is impacted due to this incident as well. So when we talk about on-call management and PagerDuty, we are an on-call management platform that provides a lot of context when notifications happen. And the notification happen in form of a phone call, SMS, email. We have a PagerDuty mobile app, which I'll show you in the demo today, with smartphones, and you can receive push notifications through the app as well. But at the same time, PagerDuty is able to provide an automation efficiency around the escalations, as well as the scheduling of your responders receiving notifications too. What we see a lot of customers today is there is a lot of manual processes involved with escalations, where you need to escalate to different teams, escalate to the next layer within your team or your management. These are typically done manually, and it is very time consuming and sometimes missed. But with PagerDuty, we're able to define and automate this process for you. And at the same time, we're able to build out specific schedules, so you can provide some rosters on who is going to be on call at specific points in time. And when typically responders receive a notification, they would acknowledge and work on the incident. All of these activities are tracked in a timeline within PagerDuty as well, so you can follow through and look into who responded and who resolved the incident. Now, beyond the notification component, we have a lot of efficiencies and automations built in our platform around incident response as well. The first thing is around response automation. And when we talk about response automation, this really refers to providing an easy way to execute any runbooks that you have defined within your environment. So you can quickly associate an incident to a specific runbook and execute it with ease without having to escalate to different teams to run those workflows and runbooks for you. And also, when there is typically a critical incident, what we see is there is a need to align with your stakeholders, but also you need to involve different technical teams to help out during critical incidents. And this process is typically done manually as well, and it generally takes a lot of time. Even the logistics of gathering people and making sure stakeholders are involved takes 15 to 45 minutes to do. And this is before any incident is actually being acknowledged and worked on. So with PagerDuty, we're able to provide a lot of automation around this area too. Now, beyond the incident lifecycle, we're able to provide a lot of visibility and analytics into performances around your technical services, your business services, as well as your team's performance as well. So this is where you're able to track your team, how your teams are doing, how services are performing, in order to reduce attrition, making sure you take care of your teams responding on incidents as well. So at a high level, we provide a lot of capabilities for customers around the real-time response and incident response component, end-to-end. And today I'll be demonstrating mainly on the Encore management and event intelligence due to time constraints. But obviously, after this session, if you're happy to engage with us, we're more than happy to take you through the entire end-to-end demonstration as well. So without further ado, let's go into the technical demonstration. And with the demonstration, I'd like to start off by showing you the visibility aspect of PagerDuty. This is a really good start point because you'll start to understand how PagerDuty is constructed from a platform perspective and what sort of context we provide to those responders that are managing incidents today. Now, with our visibility console, we're able to provide you a real-time view of what's going on in terms of the services that are impacted, what incidents are worked on, and who is working on them. And it's made up of a few different modules. I'll go through them really quickly. The service activity is a list of all of the technical services that you have defined within PagerDuty. And all incidents are created under a specific technical service. And this gives you a view of, over time, how many incidents have been created to specific technical services. And within the last 24 hours, you'll see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 technical services that have had incidents. On the status dashboard, we have another definition of a service called business services. And this is mainly tailored for stakeholders who own the business function or teams that need to be across of specific business functions, like the customer support team or customer services team. And with the status dashboard, you're able to track what business services are experiencing critical incidents throughout the day. Now, when we go to the bottom, we have 2 different modules. Incident module, this is specific to the actual incidents that are occurring within your environment. We have the actual incident, which technical services it's impacting, and also who is assigned to these specific incidents at the moment. And also you're able to track duration of the incidents through this module too. Lastly, we have the technical services definitions and statuses. We have the list of technical service as shown up here as well, but we also need to know the status of the individual services here and which team is owning and attending to any incidents that occur with these technical services. So overall, PagerDuty provides a view of services and the people, and that is exactly how our platform is made up of. And with this visibility console, you're able to get a view of what are the impacted business functions as well as the technical services. So you can quickly adopt and decide on whether you need to coordinate automated mobilization of different teams or let stakeholders know what's going on to speed up the resolution of incidents. So next, I'm going to talk about the services and the people aspect, which are the 2 main components that make up PagerDuty. I'll start off by talking a little bit about the people side. So people is basically made up of users. A user in PagerDuty, just quickly, is defined as a person who is typically receiving a notification, or a technical responder who's responding to an incident. But also a stakeholder can be a user as well, because they need to receive updates from the team when there is a critical issue happening. Now, each user has the capability to define their own contact information to receive notifications. As explained before, you have many ways to receive notifications from PagerDuty. Phone call, SMS, email, and the mobile app are the typical four methods of receiving notifications. But we also have integrations with chat tools like Slack and Microsoft Teams as well. And a lot of companies adopt this integration to use those platforms as a form of receiving notifications as well. But with PagerDuty's notification, you're able to assign your own rule on how you want to get notified. Typically during critical incidents, which are categorized as high urgency incidents within PagerDuty, you will need to be woken up during the night because it's very critical. And typically what we see users defining multiple channels being used to get notifications in order to prevent you from missing any notifications that are coming through. But also we have a level of low urgency as well. So not necessarily all incidents happening overnight required to be woken up. So we have a level of low urgency incident, which really limits you to receiving notifications only by email or messaging. So you don't necessarily need to receive a phone call. So individually, you can set up the rules that you want to receive. But after that, then we talk about the Encore Schedule. So this is where you can build your own team's schedule on who needs to be on call at what specific point in time. This example shows you a DevOps Team B schedule that I've built today. It's a very simple schedule. We have a daily rotation, meaning each person will rotate every 24 hours. And handoff time is at 4 p.m., meaning every 4 p.m., the next person will be assigned within this roster. I put 3 users in here, and you can obviously drag and drop as much users as you want within the team. But the idea is that after you insert the users here, you will see that every 24 hours, it'll basically flow through the list of users in terms of the rotation of the responders. So ideally, what you want to do is have all your teams set up, have a defined schedule and then framework, and then the roster will kick in automatically as the day flows through. Now, there may be some time where typically someone is sick, or you might have an emergency and you can't attend a specific time slot. PagerDuty, you can always easily override a specific person with another person just to fill in as well pretty easily. So within the team, it empowers the team to manage their own workload between each other in case something happens and you can't be on call. Now, after the schedule is completed for each team, what we then look at is the escalation aspect. So this is where the immediate power comes in, because generally a lot of this process is done manually within an organization, but with PagerDuty, you're able to automate a lot of this component within the platform. And it's done through what we call escalation policies. And this is where you would define your escalation flow within your team. This example is a flow of a DevOps Team B escalation policy, whereby I've assigned a couple of schedules as an escalation point, and then finally a specific user. The way the escalation policy works, it is defined in layers. So the first layer is the first point of escalation, which I've specified that previous schedule. So whoever is on call at that specific point in time when this escalation policy is used will be the one who will get the initial notification. But in case that person misses the notification, it'll automatically escalate after a specific time to the next layer. And you might have a backup team schedule here or a specific individual. It's up to you guys on how you would define your process. But typically, from a best practice perspective, we would be using schedules as much as possible in order to prevent people from receiving notification point blank 24 hours within that layer. But ideally, at the very bottom, you would specify a manager or team leader in order to make sure that there is a management escalation to the team lead at the very bottom. And we would be defining these escalation policies per team. And the reason why we do that ties to the next conversation around services. So service is a list of technical services under the service directory. And this is basically all of the technical environment components that you would have within your environment today. We at PagerDuty promote service ownership. And what that means is that each of these individual technical services is owned by a specific team. And why we do this is in order for you to make sure that when incidents happen, specific teams are assigned and owns that incident from the time of trigger to resolution. These are just examples. Obviously, it's very dependent on which business you are today, but typically you would be naming these technical services as part of your technical environment too. But within the technical service, what you would generally look at is the PagerDuty's capability to integrate with a lot of your monitoring tools. So we have more than 500 tools we integrate with today natively. So there's a lot of capabilities around integrations with monitoring tools. But in case you don't have a tool that supports PagerDuty, you can always divert to using email integration as well. By using email integration, you can just migrate your email and route it to PagerDuty, and that will be considered an alert too. But when you do set up an integration here, what would happen is these monitoring tools will send alerts to PagerDuty to these specific technical services. Now, also, when we assign the escalation policy that we defined previously, this in turn defines which team owns this specific technical service. So that service ownership is built based on the escalation policy. But also, PagerDuty is able to dynamically read into individual alerts that are coming. And depending on the criticality of the alerts, you're able to define how your responders get notified based on the notification rule. Now, remember, we talked about high urgency and low urgency previously. So PagerDuty is able to dynamically define the urgency of each incident and make sure that the notification is done appropriately based on this urgency. But after the integration and escalation policy is assigned, the service component is pretty much done. And what you'll see is you'll start to see a flow of alerts coming in and within PagerDuty and incidents being created based on that. And you'll in turn know which service has been impacted, and based on the escalation policy, a user will be assigned to respond to that specific incident. So this automation is the foundational aspect we provide to customers around making your responders more efficient in responding and making sure that you don't miss any critical incident which are impacting your business today. Now, before I finish up on the demo, I want to touch on a bit about event intelligence. So event intelligence, just to recap, is the PagerDuty's capability to reduce noise and provide a lot of consolidation around incoming events that are related to a single incident. So I'm going to take an example of this incident. When you look at this incident, you can see that it's made up of 4 alerts that came pretty much at the same time. And what we typically see happening with our PagerDuty is you will be receiving 4 notifications consequently and within the span of 1 minute. And if it was an email, you'll be getting a lot of spam emails basically, and that accounts to noise because you will need to go into the email and have a look at whether that is critical, if it's related, etc. And that is very time consuming and does create a lot of fatigue for your engineers. Now with PagerDuty, we're able to provide a lot of intelligence around consolidation of alerts too. So from a responder perspective, you'll only receive 1 notification for this particular incident, although there's 4 alerts happen at the same time. But Bert here, as a responder, is able to see these alerts consolidated into an incident too. The way we do that is by using our PagerDuty's alert grouping. And the most popular alert grouping that is used today is our intelligent-based grouping, and that is based on our machine learning algorithm that we have built within our platform. So you can teach the methodology and algorithm on how you want to group your alerts within your services as you work through incidents every day. It's very, very dynamic and very, very popular, and it is very, very used widely within our customer base. We have a customer who significantly reduced alert noise a big internet company in Asia, about 90%, more than 90% of alerts have been reduced on a monthly basis. So it is very quite significant capability that we provide to customers today. Now, I want to finish off by showing you the mobile client and just show you the flow of what happens when incidents occur. So I'm just going to switch to my iPhone client here. So this is the PagerDuty app on iPhone. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an incident which will trigger a notification to my device. So imagine this is an alert coming in from a monitoring tool that is critical, and PagerDuty picks it up and deems it to be actionable. So it assigns the incident to myself. I can see immediately that this is a P1 critical incident being picked up by PagerDuty. Now, when I go into the incident itself, you'll see that myself has been assigned to this incident, and I can immediately see what the technical service that has been impacted is. Now, at the same time, I can do a lot of actions within the mobile app for PagerDuty. Typically, what you would do is acknowledge the incident. At the bottom left here, we see an act button. And once I press this, I'll be officially assigned to this particular incident. Now, if I don't press the act button, it'll escalate to the next layer according to the escalation policy. But once I accept and acknowledge the incident, the escalation itself stops. Now, from the mobile client, I can obviously look at resolving the incident as well, but also there's a lot of actions I can perform from the mobile app too. At the top, we have a button called Run a Response Play, and this is an automated action that we can predefine within PagerDuty around mobilizing different teams and stakeholders. So if I execute this response play from my mobile phone, what will happen is I'll notify other technical teams to get involved with this incident, but also make sure that stakeholders are also subscribed to this incident and making sure that they are aware of what's going on as well. And also we have buttons like Add Responder, which I can manually add different team members or reassign down here to reassign this incident if it's not my teams to look at. So all these actions can be performed quite quickly and efficiently through the mobile app as well. So it's very, very powerful in that regard. So hopefully that gave you an idea of where we sit in the incident lifecycle and what sort of capabilities we bring to the table today. Obviously, I couldn't go through every single capability that I would love to show everyone today, but more than happy to organize a separate session individually to go through more in-depth capabilities as well. And I just wanted to finish off by just showing you that we have a free trial that we offer to all customers that are interested in PagerDuty. It's a 14-day free trial with no charges. So please have a look and play around with our platform, the integrations, and see how it looks from your environment as well. But also we have a booth today available for you guys to visit. We have a lot of content for you guys to download, as well as we have a prize to give away as well. So please come and visit, and yeah, hope to see you there too. Thank you very much for your time.